So, we are back again with our book talk, Ta-Nehisi Coates' Between the World and Me. Between the World and Me. And I am regular videoing as well as here on Periscope so that I can upload these videos to my YouTube channel. We're unable to live stream at the moment. We've been having some difficulty, but we're going to get back to live streaming on our YouTube as well. So we are now into Ta-Nehisi's story concerning his wife, concerning moving to New York. This is where we are now. And him reminiscing yesterday about the death of his friend, Prince Jones, or his acquaintance rather, Prince Jones. And so we are continuing to pick up in our reading today about his move to New York and what does that mean for his family. What does that mean for his family? And I think it's interesting that he also has some things in here today concerning the Civil War, concerning civil rights icon Jackie Robinson. I'm going to be really interested to hear what he has to say about that. Considering he is one of my relatives. So, let us get started. We lived in a basement apartment in Brooklyn, which I doubt you remember, down the street from Uncle Ben and his wife and your Aunt Janai. These were not great times. I remember borrowing $200 from Ben and it feeling like $1 million. I remember your grandfather coming to New York, taking me out for Ethiopian, after which I walked him to the West 4th Street subway station. We said our goodbyes and walked away. He called me back. He had forgotten something. He handed me a check for $120. I tell you this because you must understand, no matter the point of our talk, that I didn't always have things, but I had people. I always had people. I had a mother and father who I would match against any other. I had a brother who looked out for me all through college. I had the Mecca that directed me. I had friends who would leap in front of a bus for me. You need to know that I was loved, that whatever my lack of religious feeling, I've always loved my people, and that broad love is directly related to the specific love I feel for you. I remember sitting out on Ben's stoop on Friday nights, drinking Jack Daniels, debating the mayor's race or the rush to war. My weeks felt aimless. I pitched to various magazines with no success. Your Aunt Shauna lent me another $200. I burned it all on a scam bartending school. I delivered food for a small deli in Park Slope. In New York, everyone wanted to know your occupation. I told people that I was trying to be a writer. Some days I would take the train into Manhattan. There was so much money everywhere. Money flowing out of bistros and cafes. Money pushing the people at incredible speeds. Up the wide avenues. Money drawing intergalactic traffic through Times Square. Money in the limousines and brownstones. Money out on the West Broadway where white people spilled out of wine bars with sloshing glasses and without police. I would see these people at the club, drunken, laughing, challenging break dancers to battles. But afterward, they would give laugh, order more beers. They were utterly fearless. I did not understand it until I looked out on the street. That was where I saw white parents pushing double wide strollers down gentrifying Harlem boulevards in t-shirts and jogging shorts. Or I saw them lost in conversation with each other, mother and father, while their sons commanded entire sidewalks with their tricycles. The galaxy belonged to them, and as terror was communicated to our children, I saw mastery communicated to theirs. And so when I remember pushing you in your stroller to the other parts of the city, the West Village, for instance, almost instinctively believing that you should see more, I remember feeling ill at ease, like I had borrowed someone else's heirloom, like I was traveling under an assumed name. All this time you were growing into words and feelings, my beautiful brown boy who would soon come into the knowledge, who would soon comprehend the edicts of his galaxy and all the extinction level events that regarded you with a singular and discriminating interest. You would be a man one day, and I could not save you from the unbridgeable distance between you and your future peers and colleagues, who might try to convince you that everything I know, all the things I'm sharing with you here, are an illusion, or a fact of a distant past that need not be discussed. And I could not save you from the police, from their flashlights, their hands, their nightsticks, their guns. Prince Jones, murdered by the men who should have been his security guards, is always with me, and I knew that soon he would be with you. In those days, I would come out of the house, turn into Flatbush Avenue, and my face would tighten like a Mexican wrestler's mask. My eyes would dart from corner to corner, my arms loose, limber, and ready. This need to be always on guard was an unmeasured expenditure of energy, the slow siphoning of the essence. It contributed to the fast breakdown of our bodies. So I feared not just the violence of this world, but the rules designed to protect you from it. The rules that would have you contort your body to address the block, and contort again to be taken seriously by colleagues, and contort again so as not to give the police a reason. All my life I'd heard people tell their black boys and black girls to be twice as good, which is to say, accept half as much. These words would be spoken with a veneer of religious nobility, as though they evidenced some unspoken quality, some undetected courage, when in fact all they evidenced was the gun to our head and the hand in our pocket. This is how we lose our softness. This is how they steal our right to smile. No one told those little white children with their tricycles to be twice as good. I imagine their parents telling them to take twice as much. It seemed to me that our own rules redoubled plunder. It struck me that perhaps the defining feature of being drafted into the black race was the inescapable robbery of time, because the moments we spent readying the mask or readying ourselves to accept half as much could not be recovered. The robbery of time is not measured in lifespans but in moments. It is the last bottle of wine that you have just uncorked, but do not have time to drink. It is the kiss that you do not have time to share before she walks out of your life. It is the raft of second chances for them and 23-hour days for us. So, what is he talking about here? He's talking about this notion that black people spend a lot of time prepping and preparing for a life of being questioned, for a life of being doubted, for a life of at times being ripped off, for a life of other people's expectations, while at the same time people denying the things that you actually go through. I find it funny because I had someone on one of my posts last night, one of my white male friends. He came on my post and he said he is tired of being discriminated against because of the color of his skin. And I thought that was a very interesting thing that he would say, because literally almost every institution in this country is built around receiving the color of his skin. But what he was actually talking about was white people being called into account for their behavior and their actions. And probably for the first time in his life, he was actually feeling what it feels like for the actions of some to group you in with a whole group of people, which is what black people deal with all the time. That the actions of one becomes representative of the whole group of us. So what he was experiencing was this group persecution, per se, because of what some white people have been doing over the last couple of weeks. And so what I told him was, I'm 39, and 39 is a long time to be black and a long time to be female. Now you add that on to black, female, Christian, and your political affiliation. And I said, there comes a time when sometimes I am attacked daily, because I am on social media. Sometimes I'm attacked daily for all four of those things. Daily. Sometimes several times a day. Sometimes by black people and sometimes by white people. So, yeah, I wasn't really feeling the whole please feel pity for me because I am now experiencing something that people of color have been experiencing, many of them, most of their life. So again, this whole thing here that he's talking about how you lose your softness, how you begin to see the world through a cynical lens when you are constantly faced with different things that try to make you appear or feel as less than you are. And so I think he makes a really good point here that especially parents with children, you've got to draw a fine line between how you feel about the world and the things that you will share with your child in an age appropriate way. And you have to draw a fine line between the cynicism that comes with how you feel versus what your child needs to know at certain age levels, right? And this is one of the reasons why I appreciate this book, Between the World and Me, because he's actually kind of writing to express to his son what the realities of the world are for a black man, right? But he doesn't make it so to the point where there's no kind of hope, right? There's no kind of hope for the future. He continues to say, I may not have had everything I wanted in my life, but I had people. And I think that is a very good point for him to make. So let's keep reading. One afternoon, your mother and I took you to visit a preschool. Our host took us down to a large gym filled with a bubbling ethnic stew of New York children. The children were running, jumping, and tumbling. You took one look at them, tore away from me, and ran right into the scrum. You have never been afraid of people, of rejection, and I've always admired you for this, and always been afraid for you because of this. I watched you leap and laugh with these children you barely knew, and the wall rose in me, and I felt I should grab you by the arm, pull you back, and say, "We don't know those folks. Be cool." I did not do this. I was growing, and if I could not name my anguish precisely, I still knew that there was nothing noble in it. But now I understand the gravity of what I was proposing, that a 4-year-old child be watchful, prudent, and shrewd, that I curtail your happiness, that you submit to a loss of time. And now when I measure this fear against the boldness that the masters of the galaxy imparted to their own children, I am ashamed. New York was another spectrum unto itself, and the great diversity I'd seen at Howard, solely among black people, now spread across a metropolis. Something different awaited around every corner. Here there were African drummers assembling in Union Square. Here there were dead office towers brought to life at night by restaurants. Buried within that served small kegs of beer and Korean fried chicken. Here there were black girls with white boys and black boys with Chinese Asian American girls and Chinese American girls with Dominican boys and Dominican boys with Jamaican boys and every other imaginable combination. I would walk through the West Village marveling at restaurants the size of living rooms, and I could see that the very smallness of these restaurants awarded the patrons a kind of erudite cool, as though they were laughing at a joke and it could take the rest of the world a decade to catch on. Summer was unreal. Whole swaths of the city became fashion shows.